Welcome back. A good showing from Oceana has given Brimstone a boost. During the half-year period, headline earnings per share more than doubled to close to 72 cents. And joining me now is the company's CEO, Mustaq Brey. Thank you so much for your time, Mustaq. Now, actually, let's start off with that buoyancy in the bottom line. Would you say that there were very specific drivers there and not broad growth within the business?
Yeah, no, I agree with you. It's specific drivers, one of them being, the main one really being Oceana, and then the increase in fair value of our long-term assets as well, of the market list shares. Those two were really the main contributors towards the great bottom line we've had for the first 6 months of this year.
And also what's interesting is obviously you have, a significant exposure to seafood companies. But it would seem that there was a difference in performance between Oceana and Sea Harvest. I know that the seafood business is quite cyclical, but would you say that they're maybe not in the same cycle at this point?
Well, if you look at the detailed results of Oceana, which came out early in the year as well for the first 6 months, they were having the same issues with whitefish in South Africa. Catch rates are not good and that type of thing. Thankfully, that seems to be coming back right now. But I mean, look, in the earlier part of this year, the first half of this year, both companies suffered from the same issues. However, in the case of Oceana, they've got a very big business out in the US, near New Orleans, where they do fish meal and fish oil with their subsidiary called Daybrook. And that's had a very, very good first half of the year, based on the fact that they had big stock carryover from the previous financial year. And they could carry out and sell out those things, and they're busy fishing at the moment again. Because fishing seasons are different. They're not necessarily the same as our financial year in or first half or second half. Depending on when the fish is available and when the quota period is open and that type of thing as well. They've got different seasons for fishing, so it's a seasonal business as well. So both Sea Harvest and Oceana had the same problem with whitefish in South African waters. If you go look in detail in the I&J results as well, you'll find the same results in there as well. They're all fishing in the same waters.
All right, I hear you on that. On fishing, Sea Harvest has gone from being a subsidiary to an associate. What's the impact of that on the bottom line from here on out?
The impact on the bottom line should not be that dramatic, in that what they did in actual fact, we didn't sell any of our shares. When they bought Terra Sands, which has got it's a nice fishing company. It was a nice fishing company. It's quite big in Abalone as well. They've also got Pilchard. They've got the Saldanha label. They placed an additional 60 million shares in Sea Harvest. So we've still got 159.6 million shares in Sea Harvest. However, Sea Harvest now got another 60 million shares in issue, which has brought us down from the 54% to the about 45% that we've got at the moment. So going forward, we will not be consolidating Sea Harvest. We're under 50%. However, we'll equity account it. So from an earnings point of view, we'll still get the earnings on 159.6 million shares. However, we will not be consolidating its assets and its liabilities in our numbers. So our numbers are quite different. If you look at our comparative numbers at year end compared to now, it looks quite different. So what we did with our results from Sea Harvest this year, for the first 4 months, it was a subsidiary and we consolidated that. But for the next 2 months, it was an associate. So we just brought through the equity accounted earnings for those 2 months.
All right. Mustaq, you've offloaded some of your stakes in a number of your investments. What inroads are you making in that effort of trimming your debt? Because I understand that was going towards reducing your debt.
Absolutely. We are undertaken to our bankers that from the time we got our debt refunded, we are undertaken till December 2025, which is another 16, 18 months away from now, that we will reduce debt by 600 million. Against that, we've now paid them back 354 million in the 6 months, of which 250 million was capital repayment and 104 million was really interest being serviced on the debt. So we're well on track to meet our commitments to the bankers, and we're quite comfortable in the next 16 months that we will be able to repay them that full 600 million, which we had promised him. So there's no issues on a debt burden at the moment.
So this would even come before your target of December 2025?
Absolutely. We're working towards that, and we're hoping to beat that target. Quite honestly, that's the target I've set management.
All right. Mustaq, I do also note that at the beginning of your results commentary there were some green shoots that were mentioned. Would I be correct in saying that you are cautiously optimistic about the prospects of South Africa's economy and also the impact of that on your business?
As I say, we live in hope. I mean, we live in hope. Right? I'm old enough to have lived through a few of these cycles. And yes, when you go through a bad patch after the dark clouds, the sun will rise again. And it is our duty as citizens of South Africa, for all of us to work together. The state can help, the banks can help by dropping the interest rates a bit. I think all our consumers and all our people in the country are stretched at the moment. They're overdebted. They got, interest has stayed at a high rate for a bit too long in my mind. And I think the sooner interest rates come down, I think it'll be a natural, restart for our economy. Everybody will be able to breathe a bit easier, spend a bit more money. And in doing that, the whole economy will get lifted up. And that's really what we're hoping for. And I think we're starting to see that green shoots coming through now. The whole world is talking about reduction of interest rates at the moment. We're not talking about increasing it. And I think when it starts maybe in the US and in Europe, that type of thing, and in the Far East, it will certainly filter down through here. Our governor has been very strong on this. He said, no, you'll wait until inflation comes down. Inflation is down. I think it's back in acceptable levels at the moment. And as such, he must now be a man of his word as well and bring interest rates down. So we in actual fact are hoping that we'll have maybe a 50 basis point reduction by the year end. We should make a big difference to the consumers out there. It will ease the debt burden, it will ease their monthly payments burden, and in that way, it will lift up the economy. More people employed, more money going around, and all of us can do much better.
Indeed. Well, thank you so much for your time and giving us insights on those numbers and the prospects for Brimstone going forward. Mustaq, that was the CEO of Brimstone, Mustaq Brey.